Dr. Tinsley is going to start here. First, thank you for doing this, talking to our cadets about exercise studies, because that is something that we really care about in the Army and also very much care about and always have cared about at the United States Military Academy. And we wondered if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yes, so I'm Grant Tinsley. I'm an assistant professor at Texas Tech University, and I direct the Energy Balance and Body Composition Lab here. So my research team does a lot of studies with supervised exercise and nutrition programs. Typically, we're most interested in resistance training. Actually, we're exclusively interested in resistance training. At this point, we do a variety of sports nutrition studies as well. So dietary supplementation and acute performance, for example. And then we do quite a bit of work with body composition assessment methodology as well.
So we are interested in dropouts, and it just occurred to me that the dropout that I usually hear about are from aerobic studies. And you've shared your data with us, and they have a project that's due, so I might, if anybody's interested, they might be shifting towards yours instead, because it's data and it's a data study, and they might be more interested in that. But what are your thoughts about dropout with strength training versus aerobic training?
Yeah, so I can't, as in terms of a direct comparison, because we focus just on resistance training, I haven't seen firsthand the difference, but I can tell you from the resistance training perspective what we see. I think when we were chatting before the recording started, you hit on a really important point, which was the population we're dealing with. So we've done some studies in the past that were in what we call recreationally active individuals. So people, students who might do intramurals or something like that, but they don't perform weight training. That's a little bit of a harder transition going on to our supervised resistance training program as compared to when we do studies in resistance trained individuals. So the data I sent you, these were females with prior resistance training experience. We screened them. They were all people who kind of walked the walk. They wanted to be working out. To be honest, I think one of the things that kept people, quite a few people in the study, was the fact that they were able to exercise in their own private gym here. They were able to have access to our trainers. There's kind of a small group of highly motivated people all working out together, rather than going over across campus to the rec center where, there are just hordes and hordes of people. So in terms of the resistance training, when we have these studies with in individuals who were previously trained and currently training, that's not really a barrier to them, the training program, unless they are picky enough that they don't want to give up control of their program and let us tell them what to do for 8 weeks. And there are some of those. And, in some ways, I would identify with that just anecdotally, that it would be hard to give up control of what I want to do in the gym and let someone else do it. So very occasionally that'll be an issue, but that's usually right at the outset. Like someone would just decline to even hear more about the study if they were really married to their exercise program. But in terms of during the study, it's rarely the exercise itself that would cause dropout. Some issues we'd see with dropout often would be related just to scheduling. So we largely work with students. There'll be a number of times where we'll have a participant who's been very consistent, very dedicated, not the type of participant we would think would be at risk for dropping out. But they get a new job that directly conflicts with the times we have the gym open. So they'll come in one day and they're dropping out, not because they want to per se, but just because they have the say employment opportunity. There are also, with the student schedules, you kind of see some ebb and flow as at certain points in the semester. So after midterms or something like that, there'll be often several participants who maybe didn't do as well academically as they wanted to, and they're trying to sort of clear out some extracurriculars from their schedule. So that's sometimes cited as a reason for dropout, simply that, I don't have time to come do this. I need to focus on my studies. Occasionally there'll be something like outside musculoskeletal injury. We had someone who was out at a social event and someone fell on their leg and tore a tendon in their leg just by someone falling on them. So there's sort of freak accidents and things like that. But in general, I think the resistance trained individuals are a really nice population, because I view them as relatively dedicated to the program.
We should see that actually when we do we call it a fundamental graph. So you should see that actually. So it's perfect.
Okay, great.
So thank you for sharing your data, and we will get back to you and tell you what your persistence rate is. We can probably calculate that directly and see if it actually matches up with what you see, and we'll share that back with you.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to see because I'm sure I'm not viewing it the same way as you do, and I'm viewing it more from the experience with the participants, but not really looking at it analytically beyond saying, okay, this participant's dropped out. They're, no longer going to be a completer in this study.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to get somebody who does aerobic studies, because the mantra I've heard there is if you don't do aerobic exercise, so you're not a runner, you're not previously trained, and you come in for the study, all kinds of reasons are cited, but there's high levels of dropout.
Okay.
We saw it from Stride, that was the Duke study, saw it in Klaus Westertrip's study for the half marathon. And I have to ask Corby Martin if he saw it in the e-mechanic.
Okay.
But I did talk to Neil Johansson, and he told me that it was the biggest difficulty in the e-mechanic was getting them on that treadmill.
Okay.
And once they're on the treadmill, he said they were perfectly happy. But getting them to that treadmill was the toughest thing.
Yeah. I will say one, and I'm not sure, I think this could probably vary lab to lab on what the setup looks like, but I think one factor that helped as well with retention in my mind was sort of the camaraderie. So we would have our resistance training gym open, say like noon to 6 p.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We would have our trainers there, and our trainers were strength and conditioning specialists or other certified trainers. They're very high energy, very enthusiastic, the type of people you want. And then also there'd be participants overlapping on their workouts because it's sort of like open gym. You have to come in, check in. The trainers will put you through your workout. So there was really good camaraderie between the trainers and the participants, and amongst the participants. Sometimes after our studies ended, we see participants who are now close friends and have continued to work out together because they sort of bonded during the program. So that environment, I don't know how easy that is to quantify, but just from observing it, that environment is something that I think was helpful, where there's some people who, maybe if they were just working out one-on-one with a trainer, or if it was unsupervised or something like that, where they might have dropped out. But I think kind of overall buying into the program sort of helped them there.
You wouldn't get that in a treadmill run.
Yeah.
So perfect. So I am going to sign off, and I'll share the video with you, and we'll share the feedback with you after the cadets play around with it.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Maybe we'll use it for tomorrow's class. They might like that better than using, it'll help them with their project that they're doing. So it's perfect.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.
Bye.